Hi guys, welcome back to 100% Max. So in today's video we are going to be talking about, of course, all the latest goings on in Newcastle United that is going around right now, and we're also going to be previewing the game against Chelsea, giving you my thoughts, of course, on that game, and also talking a bit more about transfer news as the transfer window is still open. It's open, of course, until the 1st of September, so we do have quite a bit of time left, of course, until that window does eventually close. But in the video today, we'll start off with obviously the news that just came out today. Newcastle United put it out, of course, on Twitter, or X, as it's now known, by, of course, none other than Elon Musk, who's completely switched the name of it for some reason. But anyway, that's a different subject. Newcastle have released, of course, the official club membership information for the 23-24 season. Will go on sale at 10 a.m. of course on Wednesday. So of course tomorrow it will be going on sale at 10 a.m. And the pricing for this membership this season, of course, will be £37 adults, £20 under 18s. Of course, specific options for international fans too. All of the information, of course, you need to know is over on the Newcastle United website for this one. But of course, we did hear Darren Eales talking about this in a article for the Chronicle, saying we could have loads more in the building, so we want to look and see what we can do to develop it. Of course, he's been talking again about expanding St James's Park. Of course, an ideal St James's Park expansion dream as a new ticket ballot system was introduced as well. We will talk about that in this video, of course, as you can see right now. There's an image up on your screen, of course, of Newcastle United CEO Darren Eales has reiterated that expanding St James's Park would be the ideal scenario rather than building a new stadium elsewhere. Chronicle Live previously reported that all aspects of the club have been reviewed and will continue to be looked at, including obviously the stadium. As complicated as it would be, those at the top remain committed to exhausting every possible avenue to one day increase capacity, after part owner, of course, Madan Kadesi, previously linked the prospect of leaving St James's Park to tearing your soul out. Of course, then going on to say in the article for the Chronicle, Newcastle have commissioned a feasible study and members of the hierarchy have spoken to architects, although it is important to stress it is still very early days. Newcastle City Council, for instance, would only be involved as the planning authority at a later date, while Historic England have not approached to offer advice. The club have brought back the land at Strawberry Place, which looks ripe for a van sown in the area in the short term. And Newcastle have exchanged ideas with events company Salah, new front shirt sponsor, of course, for this season and seasons going forward. Of course, who are the club's long-term front of shirt sponsor. Though Darren Eales hopes to be able to get more supporters inside the stadium, we've got a conundrum, Newcastle CEO said at a fan event in Philadelphia. There's 52,500. We could have loads more in the building, so we want to look and see what we can do to develop it. It is in a special place, so the ideal scenario would be to try and look at ways we could develop it to let more people in so they could see the team. Then of course he goes on to say words were timely ahead of the club's official memberships going on sale for the new campaign on Wednesday, such as being the demand for tickets at St James's. Those who sign up will enter a ballot for home matches with strictly one ticket per member. So a new ballot system, which means that there will be a ballot system for home matches now, not only away matches. So of course it'll allow for a lot more fans to get a better chance at going to the game. And as you can see there, strictly one ticket per member, because we did see quite a few members were, entering into the ballot with multiple devices. Now, at the end of the day, yes, everybody wants to go to the game, but there is going to be a lot of fans that won't be able to go to the game because of the limitations of the capacity at St James's Park. That is always going to be a limitation at the moment until eventually it is sorted. But even then, when it is sorted, there is still going to be fans that are missing out on going to these games, because we can't make a capacity of St James's Park big enough to fit, all of the Newcastle United fans that want to go to the games, because there's just no room, in the area where it is to put a stadium of the size that we would need, to fit every Newcastle United fan in so that everybody could go to the games. It's just completely and utterly, unable to be done, looking at it. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on that moving forward. But an interesting one there, that there is a brand new ballot system for home matches, and of course with it strictly one ticket per member. Moving on to talk about, of course, the news about the away stand as well, up on the Leazes end of the ground. They are now doing standing section up in the Leazes stand. Of course, we've already seen images circulating around of the Gallagher Ends corner, where they've turned that into a standing section, of course, as of this season. But last season we did see that there was some standing sections in the Leazes end, in the away section, of course, but they have added even more standing sections into the Leazes end. And of course, as you can see, the images there up on screen for you all to see, just what is going on at St James's Park. I'm sure, they'll probably be quite a bit further along now on being finished that, because this picture, of course, was taken a little bit ago. I think it was a few days ago that this picture was taken. I'm not quite sure on that, but that's how far they were along at the time that that photo was taken. I'm sure they'll be even further along now. Moving on to talk about, of course, the transfer news, and Scott Wilson has come out with some more transfer news. Watford have held talks with Newcastle over a loan move for Jamal Lewis. Now, we already know this. We already knew that, Watford were having a look at Jamal Lewis, and of course there's every chance the fullback will be leaving Newcastle on loan this summer, according to Scott Wilson. But as things stand, he remains part of the squad in the US. Of course, he's over in America right now with the rest of the lads, being part of the Premier League Summer Series. Then, of course, there is talk about Garang Kull, who is close to completing a loan move to Riverdaz side, FC Volendam, who will be, of course, hopefully going to the Riverdaz league to go on loan there at FC Volendam. Hopefully he'll get a lot more game time than he did up in Scotland, because he didn't get that much game time up there, and really, he could have done with a lot more. He did do some pretty good stuff up there when he did get to play, so hopefully, he will get more game time in this loan move if, of course, it does get completed, which, as you can see there, it is close to being a completed loan move to FC Volendam in the Riverdaz. We also seen some talk as well about Carl Darlow. Now, Bournemouth have just completed an agreement to sign Radu as their new goalkeeper from Inter. Of course, with Fabrizio Romano confirming that. So that now means that Bournemouth will not be looking for a goalkeeper. So that means that, according to Romano, Carl Darlow now is expected to join Leeds United from Newcastle. With, of course, Bournemouth going for Radu, the goalkeeper, of course, who was at Inter Milan. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. At the end of the day, obviously Caldolo is going to be going out the door in Newcastle, and I'm sure there will be others in there as well, like Jamal Lewis, who will be going out the door, be it on loan or be it a permanent move. Caldolo's will probably be a permanent move, I think, away from Newcastle United. Ryan Fraser is still at the club as well. I'm sure he won't be sticking around. I think he'll probably either get loaned out or Newcastle will send him away on a permanent deal to some body out there who is willing, to pay a fee for Ryan Fraser. Of course, he has fell out with favour in Newcastle United, and he's just not getting the chance to, play in the team. So he's taken up wage bill, and he definitely does need to be moved on, because that frees up the wage bill a little bit more and allows, to use that freed up wages for another player that is going to play for Newcastle. Looking at the game, of course, coming up, we're going to be taking on Chelsea on Thursday. That's going to be, of course, another late kickoff here in the UK, of course, because of the 5-hour difference between the US and, of course, us here in the UK. So that is going to be a 1:15 kickoff, I believe it is, to take on Chelsea. And that's going to be at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, of course, home of the Atlanta Falcons, home of course, Atlanta United as well, Miguel Almiron's old team. So I'd expect we're to go into that game with a pretty strong lineup. Of course, it is a big step up from playing against Aston Villa. At the end of the day, yes, Chelsea didn't play that well last season, but it is, still Chelsea at the end of the day, even though their players do look a little bit lackluster. I watched their first game in the summer series, and it was quite a disappointing game when you look at it, because Chelsea's players just didn't seem to have any bite going forward. They didn't seem to be very comfortable at the back neither. So who knows, maybe we can come away from this game against Chelsea with a win, and say we'll get ourselves our first 3 points on the board in this summer series, of course, with only having 1 point so far against Aston Villa. But the main purpose, of course, obviously we'll want to win this summer series because we're in it. So, you might as well try and win the thing. But if we can't, then the main purpose, of course, would be to get the minutes in the legs of the players heading into this season. Of course, we do still have our inaugural Salah Cup to play at, of course, St James's Park as well, which will be an interesting one, with we're taking on some pretty high caliber teams in that as well. But as for the Chelsea game, I think, Newcastle have every chance of coming away from this game with a win, and it's kind of like playing at home as well, with Atlanta being one of Newcastle's sister cities, of course. So it is kind of like playing a home game, and especially the crowd will be well and truly behind Newcastle in this, of course, with Darren Eales and, of course, Almiron as well, being the ex-Atlanta United star player alongside Joseph Martinez, of course. But let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below. I think the scoreline for the Chelsea game, I'll go with Newcastle to come away 2-0 winners against Chelsea. And if you're watching it, please let us know down in the comments below your thoughts, of course, on the score prediction. Remember, like, share and subscribe to the channel. If you want to join the membership, you can. It's only $1.99 a month, and of course you do get some perks with that. You do get a shout out on the channel once a month, and you get priority replies in the comments going forward, as long as you are a member. If you don't want to join the membership, then you can support the channel in other means by hitting the super thanks down below. All donations are welcome. And of course, until next time, I'll see you all in the next one. And however, lads.